You know, I've got this DeWalt saw, and it's really tough for the dust collection because as soon as I hit my vacuum, sometimes this guy closes, this flap will literally go like this, and it will suction itself shut like that. So what I'm decided to do is actually just some simple little modification, and it may or may not help, but I think it will. I'm actually going to, I was first thinking I was going to staple this thing, staple that like that. So those two flaps back here are literally just getting, connected because they're kind of like, they're separate. So I was thinking if I just take a staple gun, I could probably just staple that. But then I thought, yeah, that, the staple might snag on stuff. I don't know. That might still work. But what I'm thinking now, instead of a staple, is just to use some glue. And I figure if I use some of my fancy quick set glue, I might be able to get this thing to stick nicely and not, suction up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me turn on my vacuum and see if I can get it to suction. See how it starts to close up? And then if you touch it, sometimes it'll just lock up on itself and it won't free itself. See how it does that? So that's not very effective when you're trying to actually capture dust. So what I'm going to try to do is get it to stay open like that rather than close on itself. Closing on itself is no good. So let me try to fix this. Now I don't know if this is going to work. I'm just going to try it. We'll see. I'm going to put a pretty decent amount of glue on this. Put a little accelerator on it as well after I get it kind of positioned where I want it. All right, let me use a little accelerator. All right, I'm gonna hit the back as well, just to dry it. All right, let's see how this looks. Well, I can already tell you just by looking at that, that's a big improvement because it's kind of like a scoop and it looks like it's ready to do a lot more dust collecting than it was before. So let me see if I can kind of pull it apart. Yeah, that glue is really on there. So that's nice and firm. That's cool. Let me turn the vacuum on. So I can't even pinch this because of that glue that's right there. Now I suppose if I really tried, I could, but before all I had to do was get it in position and the thing would lock up on me. So that seems pretty cool. I mean, it can't be any worse than it was before. Certainly that's going to be better than it was. So that's really cool. And that glue is, I mean, that stuff's incredible. So that's nice. I think that's going to be a real improvement. That is really cool. I don't know why I didn't do this years ago. This thing's kind of a nightmare. But that looks good. So also one thing, what I try to do is when I'm using it just for normal, everyday use, I try to have these fences to the point where they're not closed too tight. Because what happens is if you close it too tight, when you pull when you do the slider, it engages, it actually touches see how it touched that? I don't want it to do that. I want it to go right by it. See that? So now it stays open. The shroud is basically maxed out without getting pinched by the fence. so you know it stays open. That's really cool. I think that's going to be really helpful. So just a little modification, you know, nothing but a couple minutes here. So I think that that might help some people, and it certainly is going to help me. All right, thanks a lot.